Fun and games with Python Coder. Today we're going to look at a battleship game where you play against your computer. Previously we started creating a battleship game. We've done a lot of the code before in the previous videos. If you haven't seen them, have a look. Today we're going to finish the game and play until there's a winner. So we've got you, the player, versus the computer. What's missing? We need the player to create the ships first. The tactical shooting can be improved. So we're going to improve that in the video and then we're going to play until there's a winner. Here's the final game, the player versus the computer. The main part of the code that we haven't done already is for the user to create their own battleships that the computer will try to sync. So we've got some of the code already, so let's create the same but from the user. So let's change it to create ships, and we've got taken and ships, and we've got these boats that we used before. Now what we need is we need to go through this list and we need to get the user to create the boat. So we can say or ship. So we can create the ship from the user. So let's say ship equals get ship, and we need to take the boat and make sure it's not taken before. So we have this function get ship that we need to include. So when we ask the user, so we're going to ask the user to enter the numbers, and then we need to check that ship, which we can do with the check OK. And then we're going to return that ship, and once we've got the ships, then we can append them to the ships list, and that will create the ships for the user. So we've got create ships, so that's the basis of our code. So if we call that long, we can, first of all, we want to print something to tell the user to enter the numbers. So we can just say enter your ship, so the user knows they're going to enter a ship, and then we're going to have a for loop, and that's going to be for the length of the boat. So if the boat is length of 5, then that's going to ask the user for 5 numbers. So we're going to get the boat number from the user and use an input. So we can ask to enter a number from the user. Please enter a number, and the user will enter a number, and then we can add that, let's say, to ship, and we've got boat number. Now it's going to be a string, so we need to enter that as an integer. So now the numbers go in. So once that's given us the ship, so we're going to say ship equals, so that's going to be empty. Now you can see we need to check that ship. So we had check OK, bolt and taken. So we can say check OK, bolt and taken, except for we're going to call it ship. And that's going to return the ship if it's OK. But also we can check to make sure that the bolt is correct, that it's consecutive numbers going from left to right or for up and down. So it checks to make sure the bolt is correct. So we can do that if we put the bolt in order. So we can use sort. If I is not equal to 0, so if I is not equal to 0, then we can check to see if the number is 1 more or 10 more than the previous number. So we can say bolt I, we're looking to make sure, we say like if bolt I plus 1 does not equal bolt I plus 1, or, so that's checking to see if the bolt is going across our board. Now to check to see if it's going down our board would be plus 10. Now if that's not the case, then bolt will equal minus 1. And we have to break out of that as well. Now if the bolt is minus 1, that means it's no good. So once we check OK, we need to check to make sure the ship does not equal minus 1. So if that's the case, then that's fine. But if it's not, then we need to do something. So we can create an error message saying there's an error. Please try again. Now we want to put that in a loop. So we can use a while loop. So we could say while OK. So OK equals true. So while OK, now if the chip 0 doesn't equal minus 1, we can break out of that. And then we're going to return the ship. But if it's wrong, we're going to say print error, please try again. So we make the ship empty and it comes round and tries again. We need to add the ship to taken. So taken equals taken plus the ship. Also, when the user is going to enter the ship, they might want to know how many they need to enter. So we can say ship of length, we can spell it right, a gap, and then we can put in how long it is. We need to change that or to an and, otherwise the bolt will always end up as minus 1. So let's try this, save it and run it. So enter a number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So first of all, we're going to set what we're going to do. So before the game, we've got our variables and lists that we create. Then when we play the game, the computer creates the board and the player creates the board. And then in the game itself, inside a loop, player shoots, then we check the shot, we repeat that until the game's over. So player shoots, computer shoots, player shoots, computer shoots until the game's over. So we've got most of that code. So let's just copy and paste in the functions that we've done already. So we've got the code that we had when the computer played. So you can see here we've got the loop and check shot, get shot, and the variables beforehand, create bolt as well. So now it's a question of moving the variables in the correct place, the code in the correct place, and adding the boards for board 1 and board 2. So you can see here we've got create bolts. So that will be for our computer. So the computer creates a board. Tactics as well we need. And here's our for loop. So we add our loop here. So you can see here we've got our loop, and this is when the computer shoots. So we need to add when the player shoots. So in our game the player is going to shoot first. So here we had create ships. So this is when the user creates the ships. So computer creates a board, then the user creates the ships. So now we have to get the lists for 2 players, not just 1 player. So we've also got the code when the user shoots. So we can add that code in. So we've got the guesses equals hit plus miss plus comp, shot gets shot. Remember we used the bolts, so we need to change that to ships. And we check the shot and show board. Now we have to remember we've got 2 boards now. So what we need to do, we need to get the variables for each one of the boards. So we're going to call them hit 1, miss 1, comp 1, guesses 1, missed 1, and tactics. And then we can copy them and paste, and then we're going to duplicate them for each board. So what we're going to end up with 2 boards. So we've got this taken, so we're going to have taken 1 and taken 2. And let's see, create bolts. So when a computer creates the board, we have create bolts. So we've got create bolts here. So let's pass that taken. And that returns ships and taken. So create bolts. We pass that taken. Let's say taken 1. Now we've got the user creates board, got ships and create ships. So we're going to pass that maybe taken 2, and then taken 1 will come back and taken 2 will come back. So we have ships and taken for each board. So at the moment we don't have ships, but they'll come back from the function. So let's have a look at create ships, which would be at the top because we created that code recently. So we have taken, and that will return our ships that the user creates. So the user creates the ships. Let's return taken. So we go back to our code now. we have the computer creates a board and the user creates a board. We might want to show that board. If we scroll down, we actually have it all the way down here, so we can see the show board _C, and that's the easiest way to show the board after it's been created. So let's have a look. Player creates the board. Let's show the board. We've taken 2. Okay, so now we can show the board. Now for our loop. Now the player 1 is going to go first. We've got hit 1, miss 1 and comp 1. We've got shot 1 because get shot guesses 1. So now ships, hit, miss and comp are all going to be 1. We don't have boat anymore. So let's see what we've got with check shot. Let's check to see what comes back and what goes. We've got shot, hit, miss and comp. So you can see here with check shot here, we've also got ships, and we've got missed as well. We've got ships, hit, miss, comp and missed and 1. And then show board is going to be hit 1, miss 1 and comp 1. Now repeat until ships are empty. We have the code down here. So we've got the player with the ships 1. So check if empty, end of game. I'm going to say that that's the winner, and then you can say how many moves. So if the computer wins, then you can say end of game, computer wins, and ships 2. So now we've got the computer shoots, repeat until ships empty, which we've already done. So now we've just got to change the computer shooting to shot 2, guesses 2, and every variable and list we're changing from the variable name to 2. Because there's 2 boards. So now we've changed all the variables to 1 for the player, 2 for the computer. We've created the boat, the ships beforehand, and then when the game's finished we check to see if the ships are empty. We need to make sure we show the board after the player shoots and the computer shoots. So when the player shoots, we show board, and when the computer shoots, we show board. So if we look for create ships, you can see we've got this 5, 4, 3, 3, 2, 1. Now what about if you want to change that? Well, we could change that at the beginning. So let's have a look at our code. Let's imagine that we're going to call our new list Battleships, and then we're just going to create, let's say, 1 ship of length 8. So when we create the boats, we're going to pass Battleships, let's make sure we spell that correctly. So we're going to pass that Battleships to when we create boats, create ships, the computer and the user. So when we look at our code, we've got taken, and then we can pass it battleships, and then actually if we change that to bolts, and then we can take out this code here, and when we create ships as well we can do the same here. So this is handy especially for testing, because you don't want to have to keep playing the full game when you want to test your code. So let's save that, and now we look like we're ready to have our first test. So let's create a battleship of 8 and see if that works. So we can run that and we can enter a ship. So let's just start off with a simple ship of 1, 2, 3 upwards. Okay, you can see now we've got our board, that's where our ship is, and now we can look for our computer's board, and you can see now we have the board where we play the shot at the top and the computer plays the shot at the bottom. So you can see there, if I carry on shooting, you can see the gaps. This is going to take some time, so we'll stop recording until near the end of this game. You can see here we're just at the end of the game here, so I just need to put 69 in, and then that should mean at end of game the winner in 49 moves. So you can see I beat the computer. One thing that you can see here though is the tactics of the computer didn't work with a longer ship. So we need to change the tactics. In our calculate tactics function, we wrote code when we had 3 hits on the trot. But what happens if we have a longer ship? Well, let's have a look. At the moment, when we have 3 hits, when we print our temp list, you can see it gives us the option of either side. Here we've got guesses 1, 2, 3, and it gives us the option 0 and 4, which is correct. But what happens once we start using longer ships with more hits, consecutive hits? We run this and you can see it doesn't give us the correct option. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to change our code in the calc tactics. So let's have a look. So for example, in this example, the shot is at 1. We think we want to look at the square 0, which is correct, but we want to look at 5 rather than 4. So when we've got shot 1 and shot 1, shot plus 1 and plus 2, this plus 2 needs to go plus 3, plus 4, go longer to find where we need to hit. So we can change this to a loop. So we've got for I in range, or we can put right in and then create a list from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Now in that loop we can then say shot plus I in here. Now if shot plus 1 is in hit, then we know shot minus 1 is going to be in temp. So we can say temp equals shot minus 1. So now all we need to do is to add the shot plus 3 to temp. So we can just append that, temp dot append, and it's going to be shot plus I when shot I is not in hit. So when we go through our loop, we need to break out of that loop as well. So we're going to look for I in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and as soon as we get to a number that's not in hit, so if it's 2, we're just going to add shop plus I. Now if 2 is in hit, it's going to move to 3, so it's going to be shop plus 3, and so on. So let's just try that first of all with this example. So if we run that, we can see now it's 0, 5. If we add another number into our hits, it will say 0, 6. So that's correct. So now we need to change the code for the other parts of the calc tactics. And as you can see here, we've just copied and pasted the code. We've changed the minus to a plus and plus to a minus, and also for up and down, instead of +1 and -1, it's +10 and -10. So remember to change the list from 2 to 8 to 20 to 80. So now that's your 4 parts of the calc tactics function changed correctly. So you can see here with the old function defined calc tactics, we can take that out and paste in the new version, and now when we play a game, you will play a game and you can see that the tactics will improve. We've just missed some variables in tactics. We need to change that to tactics 2, and then we can run our code and test it again. Again, we needed to debug our code when we copied in the calc tactics. We didn't copy in the last part, so we've done that. And when we play Battleships, you can see here we shot along the top line and we waited for the computer to hit our boat, and once it hit, it used the tactics to sink the ship. So it did, the tactics worked, and the computer won in 10. So perhaps we can look at the code, and if you want to try the code yourself, you can try with different lengths of battleships. So perhaps you can go back to the original ships and then play the game. Once you've written your code, you need to check through it thoroughly and then test it thoroughly. In this case, that's not too bad because it just means playing a game. But for now, for this video, we've finished doing the coding and we'll carry on with the testing after. But for now, that's our Battleship games. And we tested the game and we're just about to complete that. So 39 should be the last one, and there we go, winner in 52. So our testing worked, the program worked. Well, we hope you enjoyed that video. The code's not perfect, we just created it live as you can see. So there are improvements that could be made. So for example, when the user enters something, could use try and accept. But this code we just built piece by piece, and we didn't really use any design. Now if you was to create this game yourself from scratch, and it would be better to actually design it in the first place. So for example, the function names could be better. You could say about the player creating the board, computer creating the board. So improvements could be made, but it looks like the game seems to work. So we plan to put the code beneath in a comment so you can try it yourself, and as we say, hope you enjoyed the video and the series of videos about this game. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like to help our channel, please like the video, share it on Twitter or recommend it on Facebook, and obviously if you haven't already, please subscribe.